Well, let me welcome you all on this rather chilly morning out here to our maintenance facility, and we're going to talk a little bit about, appropriately, our snow removal. We obviously have experienced in Kansas some crazy weather over this last week or so. We've been pretty fortunate here in this region that we didn't get inundated with some of the snowfall that our neighbors have. I heard reports that it had gotten as close as Dodge City, but we were able to avoid some of that. And then most of you recognize some of the issues that we dealt with last snow season, and so we want to address some of that. The city has taken a number of measures to enhance our plan for snow removal this season. And so we'll explain a little bit of what we're doing, and if I leave anything out, I know our staff here are eager to help you. Aaron Henning, our public works person, is with me here today, and Aaron will fill in any of the information that I miss out on and give you a chance to open it up when we ask for questions here in a little bit. 9 dump trucks were scheduled to be auctioned off as we renew our fleet this year, and what we've decided to do was keep those 9 trucks. And so if you look behind me this morning, you're going to see 9 brand new trucks with new snow plows that we have scheduled to replace our aging fleet with. But in the interim, to help us through this first snow removal year, to beef up our snow removal this year, we're keeping those 9, and a representation of those trucks, or 3 of them sitting off to my left behind me over here, are 3 of the trucks that were scheduled to be replaced. We're keeping those trucks. We have trained some additional staff. We also hired additional CDL drivers, and they have been trained to operate the snow removal equipment so that we can beef that up. Additionally, some storage facilities was recently identified so we could order and retain some materials that we put on the roads when we have that wintry mix coming. Obviously, salt is one of the main products, and we had some issues last snow season with a wet season all over the country at getting those materials, so we've already started stockpiling those materials that we need to help us with that wintry mix. The facility is already stocked with more than 3,000 tons of salt, bringing the city's total emergency reserve to more than 7,000 tons. When significant snow events impact the Midwest, many communities attempt to restock on salt supplies from a handful of suppliers. Consequently, demand often exceeds supply. And so certainly stocking up in the off-season is going to help us get through this season of events, we hope. During the winter weather events, citizens can once again monitor response operations online. We think that went pretty well. The entire expanded fleet of snow plowing trucks is equipped with GPS technology, so you can look online and immediately know where a snow removal truck is. This allows citizens to see where each truck is and where they've been, and citizens can follow the plows during winter events at wichita.gov /snow removal. Some of you techies probably have it on your phone already. So like it or not, winter weather is on the way, and we have a Channel 12 just pulled up. Lily will fill them in after we're done, right, Lily? I'll ask them to interview you. So while we are all hoping for a mild winter season, the city of Wichita is taking steps to prepare for whatever conditions that Kansas weather may throw our way. So taking actions to increase our plows, getting drivers and materials ready, we think will be beneficial for our citizens, and we think that we can address whatever Kansas weather brings to us this year, which is obviously important to both public safety and our citizens on a daily basis, especially during the winter.
Are there any changes in operational plans this year? You'll still be having the crews working 12-hour shifts.
Yes.
Having all the trucks out.
Yes.
Come to the podium.
Here.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Once again, I'm Aaron Henning, Public Works and Utilities. I'm the maintenance engineer. Operations are going to be significantly the same. The 12-hour shifts is going to remain the same. We have, like the mayor mentioned, our fleet has increased by 9. So we're beefing up some of our more challenging routes with those additional trucks to improve those response times.
Can you also talk about how helpful the interactive maps and things, because people can really track where your trucks are more so than they ever have before. How helpful was that, and do you think that that too will be a good tool this winter season?
Yeah, I think it's been very helpful, especially in allowing the public to kind of see what we're doing as we're doing it. The tool allows you to see not only where a truck is in real time, but also to see where it's been over periods of time, I think up to a day's worth of drive time. So you can really keep track of our operations and how they're progressing throughout the city.
You mentioned that there's an increase of 9 more plows. What's the total number of plows? And also you mentioned challenging routes. Talk about those challenging routes. Where are they and what do you face?
Well, we're going to be able to now put up to 61 plows out if we have a full-scale response. That's, of course, conditioned on all the trucks being available and up and running. We do have problems throughout the winter season with different pieces of equipment, but that's how many we would be able to put out at any given time. That would be in the case of a major event, of course. We'll scale down resources depending on the nature of the event. The challenging routes that are referred to are primarily far east and far west. They're the furthest away from our 3 facilities that where we maintain salt supplies, fuel, those kinds of things. So equipment has to travel a greater distance to come back and resupply. So those tend to be the more challenging routes. There are also areas that have heavily traveled corridors like Rock Road, for instance, 21st Street out west. Those highly trafficked areas, especially when we have a lot of snowfall, are particularly difficult because as soon as the plow goes through and leaves the windrow of snow that they're eventually wanting to push over to the curb, traffic tends to break that out, throw it out, spread it out, and you're a little better off than you were before. But that's another thing that these trucks are going to give us the ability to do, we hope, is to draw them in when we need to and concentrate on those corridors by running 4 or maybe even 5 trucks in tandem so we can prevent that problem from occurring and get the snow moved off the road as quickly as we can.
Aaron, how important, obviously you guys will monitor when a storm is approaching. I know last year you guys would go out and put the liquid down like I think 24 or 48 hours ahead of time. Is that obviously still the plan and will that?
Yes. Yeah, we still plan to pre-treat in advance of storms when we can. We can do that up to 5 days in advance and have it be effective. Fortunately, we don't always know exactly what's going to happen 5 days in advance. And sometimes we're going to go out based on a forecast, put it out, and things will change. But it's very good, cheap insurance against potential events. It buys us a lot of response time, and in some events, it really does the job all on its own.
With the 9 new trucks that you purchased, will that allow you to put more liquid down? Because obviously you carry the tanks,
Yeah, those will not contribute to that effort. Those are, we have 8 trucks specifically dedicated to that effort that are equipped to run those tanks. Those will be the trucks that will still be involved with that. But we typically have ample opportunity to get out ahead and do that pre-treatment.
How does that stockpile of the 7 tons compare? Is that what you normally have, or how does that compare to other years?
Traditionally, we have not had an emergency reserve of salt. Going back even just 3, 4, 5 years ago, we were basically limited to the storage capacity of our domes. We have 3 domes, just like the one you see behind me. Those domes currently hold 6,000 tons in total of salt sand mix, which is what we apply to the roads. We have opened up some temporary bin storage in 2 of our other facilities where we could, just temporary through the winter, to expand that mixed storage to a total of about 7,500 tons. Last year, we were able to utilize the old Michaels building out on East Kellogg to give us something that we never had before, which is 4,000 tons of straight salt in emergency reserve. So that if we can't get that resupply, we can draw from that and get more mix made and get these domes restocked. This year we had the opportunity to utilize another facility for that same purpose. We have 3,000 tons in there now, so we now have 7,000 tons of straight salt that if we need to, we can draw from to make up to 14,000 tons of the salt sand mix.
9 trucks now, but is there a plan to keep adding to our fleet?
Well, in the near term, we hope to continue expanding in this way. I don't know that that's necessarily a long-term solution, but this is more of a stopgap measure as we work to try to figure out that long-term solution.
Does that
So
cover it?
on any given day, then, if a storm is here, how many trucks will actually be out on the road then?
It will vary depending on the nature of the event.
How many could be?
61 trucks.
Can you tell us about either of you? This is obviously an investment. It's 9 brand new trucks.
Right.
Talk about usually the life cycle of one of these trucks and why it was so important to invest in having 9 additional trucks.
Well, let me say again, we were scheduled to replace 9 trucks. And so that was part of already our capital improvement plan. And so we didn't change anything financially for the investment there. What we changed was, instead of auctioning off the 9 old trucks, which we typically would have done, we're going to retain them. So certainly there can always be, as he mentioned, issues with old trucks, is keeping them running during the winter. But having 9 additional trucks through this winter gives us an opportunity to address some of those snow events like we've had in the past season. So we're trying to be a little bit more proactive. We're not sure that this is totally the long-term solution, although we will continue to replace trucks as we need to on a regular basis. But this is kind of a short-term solution to ensure at least this winter season we can address some of those issues that we've had in past seasons.
And then just one final question. I think all of us are going to be covering the earthquake today.
Yes.
As the mayor of the city of Wichita, we've now had several more events where your residents, our viewers, have felt these earthquakes. Is the city doing anything to address, obviously it seems unusual to have earthquakes in Kansas?
We have a pretty comprehensive emergency plan for all natural disasters that occur in our area. And steps have been in place for a long time, long before I was mayor. And we have that new center downtown that operates with cameras, and then we have cameras on the highway. And so whatever the emergency is, we have a very professional, seasoned team that can address any emergency, and certainly earthquakes will be one of those that they will continue to look at. As you know, we've done some exercises just in the last year or so for events that might happen with aviation crashes and other types of events that could impact our city. We've lived through some horrible weather events like the tornadoes that have impacted some of our neighbors. And so this is no different. We have a team that's certainly ready and very professional and practice public safety, and they will always monitor that from that center there on Main Street.
And Mayor, you might not know, but are we also doing checks of our own infrastructure after events like this, just to make sure that nothing is...
One of the primary things, and Ken, did you want to say something? One of the primary things that we continually do, and this is part of our ongoing inspection, is continually look at bridges and those things and underpasses to ensure that they're safe for travelers and in some cases pedestrians that might walk under those. So absolutely those are things. But we fortunately have not had an earthquake even close to the city that could impact structurally anything of significance, and they're mild enough and far away enough that we haven't seen any issue structurally with any of our bridges, facilities. I know that we experienced one last night that all of you are probably aware of. It was one of the stronger ones that we've felt at our house, and we have a 2-story house, so up on the second floor might have been magnified, but it certainly could feel the impact of that earthquake in the middle of the night. And still fortunate that we didn't have anything structurally happen to our house. But
can you give us your observations on the 7 semifinalists for the police chiefs?
I haven't had a chance to look at those. I will be part of the team that gets an opportunity to interview all 7. I was impressed that we received 62 applicants this time. That's almost double what we received last time. And I have been told by members of the team that looked through those to narrow them down to 7 that it's an impressive list. All 62 were pretty impressive this time around. I like many others, wonder, 62 highly qualified people, where were they the first time around? But there's a lot of things that happen during searches of this magnitude nationwide, so looking forward to getting a qualified police chief, and happy with the kind of applicants and the number of applicants that we've received.